Good evening, and welcome to the Rowley Board of Selectmen September 29th meeting. The first order of business is to call the meeting to order. And Karen, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And there are no chairman's comments tonight. And also, as a reminder, this meeting is being audio and video recorded digitally. And at 7:05 to 7:15 will be citizens' query. We do have an appointment tonight, and it's a 7 p.m. appointment, and it's Treasurer Karen Summit to sign bond paperwork. Karen Summit will discuss what the board needs to vote on and sign tonight.
So, Mr. Chairman, basically, the clerk needs to read the vote of the Board of Selectmen that's in your packet.
Okay,
And then there are 4 originals that need to be signed. And I need to vote on all the items.
okay. Do we want to vote them as a group or one at a time?
I think if he reads the document,
Yep.
and then you vote on them as a group, and then he signs 4 copies.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Clerk, you are on.
Vote of the Board of Selectmen. I, the Clerk of the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Raleigh, Massachusetts, certify at a meeting on the Board held September 29, 2014, of which meeting all members of the Board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present. The following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the Board in my custody. Voted to approve the sale of a $1,715,000 1% general obligation bond anticipation note, the note of the town dated October 3rd, 2014, and payable May 15th, 2015 to Eastern Bank as par plus a premium of $6,454.11. Further voted that in connection with the marketing and sale of the note, the preparation and distribution of the notice of sale preliminary official statement dated September 16, 2014, and a final official statement dated September 23, 2014, each in such form as may be approved by the town treasurer, be hereby ratified, confirmed, approved, and adopted. Further voted that the town treasurer and the Board of Selectmen be and hereby are authorized to execute and deliver a significant events disclosure undertaking in compliance with section SEC Rule 15C2-12 in such form as may be approved by bond counsel to the town, which undertaking shall be incorporated by reference in the note for the benefit of the holders of the note from time to time. Further voted that we authorized and directed the treasurer to establish post-issuance federal tax compliance procedures in such form as the treasurer and the bond counsel deem sufficient, or if such procedures are currently in place, to review and update such procedures in order to monitor and maintain the tax-exempt status of the notes. Further voted that each member of the Board of Selectmen, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, and other documents as may be determined by them or any of them to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. I further certify that the votes were taken at a meeting open to the public that no vote was taken in secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, time, date, the date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible in the public at all hours or in all the municipal buildings that the office of the town clerks is located, if applicable, in accordance with the alternate method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29-03 2B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time in meeting, and remain so posted at the time of the meeting, that no deliberations or decisions in connection with the sale of the note were taken in executive session, all in accordance with General Law C 30A, Section 18 through 25, as amended, dated September 29, 2014, Clerk of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, is there any discussion by the board? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Do you
And a
need a
motion?
motion? I'll make a motion.
Motion
Second.
made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, that's the vote to sign, correct?
Yes. And also, Bob, we have four
Four more copies?
more copies to sign here.
Anything else to read?
Nope, you've read it all.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the originals?
Pardon?
May I have the originals when they're signed, please?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Chairman?
And are all these the originals, Karen, or?
Yes.
Okay, so you will supply us with a copy for our files?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The time being after 7:05, citizens' query is now open. Yes, Larry?
Yes, Larry White, Central Street. I want to address the selectmen as a water department customer. And I think it's become apparent over the last couple of months that with water department meetings that they're not, I say to say the least, focused on water quality issues and customer service or support issues. And if you bear with me, I just want to point out several things. One is their concern on the water quality, which they say is paramount. And they talk about raising there's an article to raise the limits on the electrical, chemicals, funding and things like that. They're questioning where that number came from and questioning the superintendent as far as the 240K. However, those numbers were presented to the selectmen by the water department in their budget, specifically as backup for the line item 11 maintenance, where they showed that if you're running the plant for 11 hours, that it would cost $240,000. It also in there had that if you run it for only 8 hours, the cost was $189,000. That $189,000 figure was from the Raleigh Light Department. Okay, so the $150,000 maybe is a guesstimate, but it's in line with the $189,000 figure. And they're questioning the supervisor where she came up with the numbers. Is the water department gave the numbers, to the town to approve. They also talk about the poor customer support and that calls are not being answered, etc. There is an article that is asking for funding for a laborer, technical operator, specifically addressing this issue and specifically working on the distribution side, which is very light in the support. That issue is being addressed. Again, the water board presented these articles to the selectmen. So it shouldn't come to a surprise. They shouldn't be talking about rescinding these articles. A third issue they had was the overstaffing of the water treatment plant. The only issue there is that they've added an additional hour for the part-time person to work from 15 hours a week to 16 hours a week, total of $990. Mary Beth has revised some of the scheduling so that the primary and secondaries are increasing the coverage of the plant, but not the total cost to operate the plant. And by the way, in operating the plant, it's not an off-on spigot operation. It's a process. In particular, the plant runs for a certain amount of time or certain gallons processed, and then they have what they call an air scrub, where it basically reverse flows. All the sludge, particulate matter is flushed out of the system off the filters, and then it continues on again. There's also a enhanced flux maintenance operation, which basically, if you have certain chemicals that you're trying to get rid of, like arsenic or other things, that this process is also performed. A third item is a chemical cleaning process, which is further enhancement of cleaning the filters. The point I'm trying to make is that for these processes, it's like a 20 to 120 minutes on, 2 to 17 minutes off, where it's recycling, replenishing. Okay? It's an automatic process, but someone still has to be there. And the system has to be running. The system is designed for 24/7 operation. And I talked with one of the operators at San Patricio in Ingleside, Texas. They process 3 million gallons a day. Their plant is running basically 24/7. That's the way it should be. They're not asking for, or Raleigh is not asking for something that is unique to Raleigh. It's operating the system how it should be run. And the point for bringing all this stuff out is that the water board seems to be, for some reason, focusing on not the long-term operation, but trying to interfere with the daily operation of the plant. Specifically, at their last meeting, they were going to meet this week to talk with the superintendent about why she is running around with a muddy vehicle, and that it should be cleaned, even though there's a water ban on that prohibits the washing of vehicles. And I think the superintendent's time is better spent not washing vehicles. The bottom line is that I think the selectmen have to step in and intermediate between the water board and the superintendent, and let the superintendent do the job that they hired her for, that she's well qualified for, and that by all means that I see, and I do have 4 years experience in the consulting engineering business, where I was working with a consulting engineering firm that dealt with water treatment plant, sewer treatment plant design and operation. So I know somewhat about it. But I think that something needs to be done to let the supervisor do her job. And again, pointing out, as I'm sure you're aware, the DEP has the consent order against the town of Rowley. So we as ratepayers, we as Rowley people are going to suffer if things aren't changed. And I would implore the selectmen to make appropriate changes so that this action stops immediately. Thank you.
Okay. Considering it's after 7:15, we will close citizens' query. And we'll move on to the next appointment, which is at 7:15. Sorry, Bill, we're a little bit late.
Appreciate you sneaking me in.
And we'll get to that. And thank you, Larry, for your comments.
You're welcome.
Okay, the 7:15 appointment. It's actually 2 articles to be added to the special. Actually, it says annual.
It's supposed to be the special. Did it say annual?
Annual.
No, I didn't change one of my old notes. Cut and paste. It's supposed to be for the special. The
Okay.
date's right, for the special, right?
April,
October.
October 27th, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And actually, on the heading, it does say special town meeting.
Yeah.
So it is a typo.
The dangers of cut and paste, right? there.
Under please add the following.
We're all
So,
guilty, Bill.
okay. Okay, I'll read the articles, Bill, and then maybe you can explain them to us, and we'll go from there. Okay, Article 1, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $35,000 for the replacement of 10 town launch ramp and patrol shellfish dock gangway sections, or take any other action relative thereto. These docks were purchased in the 1970s and maintained annually by the harbor master and local volunteers. They are not longer fit for duty and need to be replaced before the 2015 boating season that begins April 1st, 2015. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to allow the harbor master to update the Town of Rowley Harbor bylaw, applicable fees and fines as follows, to be determined, or take any other action relative thereto. Okay,
Okay, I'll start with the easy one.
all right.
The bylaws just need to be updated on some of the fees. We've done pretty good over the years to keep out-of-towners out of here, and the citizens I know really appreciate it. We still have a few that occasionally, especially it seems like on busy weekends, we had 2 last weekend, that sneak in there, and they think the $25 fee is basically a cheap launch for the day. So I'm going to recommend that we increase that fine to $50. And there is also some minor language in some of the bylaws that needs to be updated. Nothing major. The most substantial will be increasing the parking fine to $50, and the rest of it just some minor language on mooring tackle and things like that. And I'll have that ready for Debbie and Amy shortly.
Well,
You need it sooner rather than later? I can wait.
if you're doing bylaw amendments, you
Yeah.
have to show the language that's being struck out,
Mhm.
the language that's being replaced. That didn't come in with a warrant article. We're
Okay.
already sending stuff to the town council.
Then I'll pull that out for this year, and we'll just do it in the spring.
You know, if you're doing a bylaw amendment, like we're already past that stage, I wouldn't probably needed it sooner.
Okay.
If it's just the fee section, I don't have the bylaw in front of me. I don't, that might be easier to strike out the fee and replace it with that. But if you've got language changes, it's going to take some time.
Why don't I do just the fee now,
Okay.
And then in the spring at the annual town meeting, or either one, the annual or the special, whichever you recommend, I'll do the other minor changes in the bylaws.
The selectmen is signing the warrant on Monday, then a week from tonight, so
Okay.
that's why everything is very tight at this point.
Okay, no problem.
So, what I'll do then is I will email you what I think you're changing without looking at it. It's, the fine,
Parking fine.
and the new amount will be 50?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only change?
That's the only change.
Okay.
I thought you had two.
No, as far as the fines, that's the only fine that I was going to change. The other one are some mooring tackle changes and things like that. So that can wait till the spring, that's not a problem. And the bigger issue
Well,
is...
before we leave that one, I was wondering if you're gonna be making other changes in the spring, the boating season is basically over. Is there any reason why we couldn't just wait and do the whole thing at once at the special town meeting in the spring? Because at this point, there can't be, this last weekend was an exceptionally,
Sure.
or this past weekend from here on in, I think,
It'll be pretty quiet.
I don't think you're gonna run into
and-
parking issues.
No, and I'm not looking to enforce it this year anyway. So if it's easier for everybody, we can wait until the special.
That would be
town
my
meeting.
suggestion to
That's fine.
everybody, if that is
Makes it
okay.
easier for everybody. I've been pretty busy, so.
We'll just do one article, it'll include everything.
So are you saying Article 2 to wait till the spring?
Yeah, I'm just recommending that, where there's gotta be he's gonna come in with ILR updates in the spring, and the voting season is over, why not just wait with that whole thing?
Do the whole thing.
Do the whole thing at once in the spring at the special town
Would
meeting.
also include Article 1 then?
No, I'm just talking about this
Article 2.
2.
Okay. I didn't quite understand that. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
good
So do we need a
suggestion.
motion for that?
Well, Mr. Demento submitted it for the warrant, so if you're removing it, then you would need to take
Oh.
that draft off that he,
I'll make a motion that we
Submitted.
move Article 2, with the request article of Article 2 by the harbor master and postpone it till spring.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the first of the articles, a year ago, Deb had asked for us to put a capital plan, and I knew that we were going to be reaching this point with the town docks. And she, or somebody had recommended that we do the wharf first as part of that capital plan. I've got things underway, getting quotes on that to get that done. Some of the rot that needs to be repaired, in pretty rough shape. The docks are also basically not fit for use again this coming year. They really need to be either totally rebuilt or replaced. And we have, with volunteers, for many, many years, annually rebuilt these things and kept them afloat and repaired them with pretty small monies. And it's beyond me now to try to salvage them. The dock irons are pretty well rotted away. There's a lot of rot in them. And the nails are pretty well rotted away, even though we've re-nailed these probably 4 times anyway since 1979. But there's enough rot in them, and I currently have one dock that is broken that we've got temporarily secured, and we're going to have it much better secured than what you're seeing right here. This is the dock that's the pump-out boat and the patrol boat. That corner right there rotted right out, and the iron ripped right out of it. We've got it secured so it won't go anywhere, but we've got another iron that I picked up stock this morning, and we've got another iron being made up so that we can get it through the season until we get the river unmarked. So that's just one example. The dock system, I'm going to point you all in the direction of the river. You can see my scratches here. We've got the town launch ramp, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 by approximately 20-foot sections, a 10 by 10 pivot section, and then 2 20-foot sections by 4 fingers that come out off of the launch ramp docks. All of those are in really bad shape, and if you go down there and look at the irons, you'll see the irons are all open up, pretty badly rotted, and they all flex torsionally, which they're not supposed to. So they've become a hazard. On the patrol docks, the 4 on the river side itself, one of them was the old Upweller dock that Jack brought in from... Contributed. And it's got modern flotation under it. We built, with a team of guys, another one to match that, and then these other 2 were also built. These are all fine. These are using modern flotation and modern construction, and they'll last for many years. It's the ramp, these 2 sections here from the wharf, and these 4, 5, 6, 7 sections here. So it's a total of 10 sections that need to be replaced. And I've put in a high estimate of $35,000. I've looked at a couple of quotes, and I think we can do much better than that, but right now I put in an estimate of $35,000.
Okay. Do you think you might be able to sharpen the pencils a little bit?
I'm sure I can sharpen the pencil a bit.
Okay. Is there any discussion from the board?
Yeah, I think Bob and I serve, I hate to be a kind of a naysayer here, but Bob, the chairman and I serve on the capital planning committee. And we met with the town administrator in the spring and went over all the requests. And we had no idea that you were going to be looking after this summer for a total replacement of all the docks. Normally at this town meeting in the fall, we are swapping money around from one section of a budget to another and things like that. We have a number of requests that we're going to have to fund because they're of a required nature. And we're at the point, we met with the fiscal team the other day, and we're at the point where we're going to have to, for the fall town meeting, which I don't recall if we've ever done it or not for a long time, actually have to raise and appropriate more money to cover those requests. So this request for $35,000 obviously came as a shock to me, and I'm sure probably some of the other board members. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them. And it seems like, I went down to the floats today and took a long, hard look at what you have down there, and believe me, I'm not an expert. I grew up in Marblehead, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a boater. Obviously, the ramp going down to the pump-out boat and the harbor master boat, that thing should be condemned and needs to be replaced. Now, I don't know how the article for the $15,000 was worded on the Springtown meeting. But, obviously with that, there's no doubt, that either needs to be cordoned off and not used, or it needs to be replaced, so I don't have a problem how we try to work that one out. I walked all the floats, and they're not in the greatest condition, but would seem to me what I would like to do, because it's of the size of the request, is number one, give you a chance to sharpen the pencil some more and take a look at some alternatives, but also to put this in as a priority for the capital budget in the spring, because at this point we're I forget, Debbie, we're already going to raise and appropriate 20, I think it was around 20-odd thousand for things we have to do. We'll talk about later, and I'm just concerned that to come in suddenly like this without real prior warning for $35,000 is a little bit high, and I'm sure the boaters would want it, but I just think it needs a little more. Maybe you can explain it to me or some of the other gentlemen in the audience how unsafe they might be. To me, they look like probably the way they've been for the last few years, and I'm sure there were some minor repairs to make them usable for one more season. But I'd like to see a little more time put into exactly what we need, how we need it, and kind of sharpen it up a little bit. And like I say, to come in at this time, with this size of a request is kind of unprecedented. And
Well, I understand what you're saying, Dave. This shouldn't be a surprise to the selectmen. When Debbie asked for me to put in a capital plan 2 years ago, I did. And I was never consulted as to what the priorities should be. Right up front, all of a sudden, last year I saw that there was 15,000 stuck in with another article to cover off on Wolf, which was very nice. But I also knew that I was going to, sooner rather than later, have to deal with these launch ramp docks and things like that. This is a classic case of what you can't see below the deck won't hurt you, will. Or what you can't, they're totally rotted out down underneath. We pull them off of the shore in the spring and literally flip them over and put them back together as best we can, knowing that this was going to be the last year. Now, maybe shame on me for not coming at you this spring when we looked at them and I said, this is it, this is going to be the last year. But I also knew that we supposedly were working with a capital plan where we would be able to take care of some of these things. I'll take the blame that I didn't bring it to the Board of Selectmen sooner. The docks, there are a couple gentlemen behind me that would be happy to talk about the condition of the docks because they see them when they're upside down and we're working on them. And again, in the spring and the fall with volunteer labor. There are contractors that come down with lulls and machines and backhoes and work with us. There's a whole group of guys that keep boats on the river that have been very, very helpful and donate their time. And we obviously expense the materials that we use to put them back together. But again, I'll apologize I didn't bring it to you sooner this spring, that we need to do something sooner rather than later. But the time has come, and it would be ideal to find a way to fund this for installation come April, giving us enough time to solicit a couple of bids to have them built over the winter for an April 1st installation for the season. The boaters, between excise tax and fees now, are generating close to $30,000 a year. And so we don't spend that much in the budget.
Bill, when your fees, do you get all those back, or is that something that you split with the town budget, or how does that work?
The state law that allows us to take at least, if not more, 50% of all the boat excise tax back into the harbor master's budget for waterways and maintenance improvement. And I've only asked for 50% of that for many, many years. The fees go back into the town's general budget, which offset our budget. And the fees now are roughly, as far as launch fees and mooring fees, we're generating close to $14,000 in launch and mooring fees on an annual basis. So the department is self-sufficient. We don't spend as much revenue as brought in by the boating public. And I've not asked for that. This is an extraordinary circumstance that I'm looking for your support to replace the docks that basically volunteer labor, some of the best deals in town, have kept them going for a long time. I know that it's not an opportune time, but I think it's a great asset that we have down there, and worth the expense.
How long would it take for the docks to be rebuilt?
Excuse me?
How long would it take for the docks to be rebuilt?
To be built? These aren't rebuilt.
Yeah, rebuilt, these are,
Yeah.
to build the new ones.
To build the new ones, there's a couple of dock manufacturers. There's one up in Portland, and there's one down on the South Shore. And I've built plenty of docks in my life. I would say all of this depends on the size of the crew. If it's a couple of guys, it's going to take them a week to put all this together.
Boating season kicks off in the spring when?
We put the floats in by April 1st.
By April
And
1st.
April 15th is when the season officially kicks off. We mark the river shortly after that, after the spring tides. And it goes pretty well till Columbus Day weekend upcoming. And that's when the commercial marinas and most places shut down. Then it just duck hunters and clammers and commercial fishermen from that point.
Usage of the docks between
April 1st and May 29th. So Memorial Day, that's really
Oh,
that's
a
the,
lot of action.
that's a lot of action.
Fishing guys are chomping at the bit to get out there. And we see a lot of action right after April 1st. Yeah.
Bill, is any of that, the current structures that the docks are built out of right now, the float under them, is any of that stuff salvageable to rebuild?
I'd
mean,
like
is
to-
it
I'd like to-
possible
I'd-
that- I mean,
I'd
is that
like
a
to-
wreck under there too,
Yeah,
or
no,
broke
it
up?
is.
or-
I'd like to say yes, Jack, and I would. And like I said, there's 3 guys behind me that'll attest to the fact that we have literally stitched them and stitched them and stitched them. The flotation breaks over time.
Yeah.
And we've had to put basically stitch boards to hold the flotation in place. So when those are brought out this fall and we flip them over, you'll see that they're all pretty much broken up. And if we try to reuse it, we would have to spend a lot more money to try to save that flotation. Flotation today, modern flotation, are the polyethylene rotomolded billets that are closed cell foam filled. And they're guaranteed for 10 years, typically they'll last 20 years. But that's what's on the newer floats that we've built that are out along the river right now. And that's what I propose that they'd be now.
Would the new docks have more stability? I know I'm no lightweight.
There'd be a lot more, that's what I was talking about.
Stable, and when you're up and down or walking on them.
That's what I was
et
talking
cetera, et
about,
cetera.
Dave. A good dock, a solid dock, shouldn't have torsional flex. When you walk on those docks, it's side to side and side. They're very loose. All the dock irons, they're supposed to have 3/4 inch holes. They were galvanized originally, and the galvanized is basically just worn away. And the holes are now probably close to an inch, and so you get a lot more play in the dock. But it's not just the irons, it's the docks themselves. Torsionally, the wood, much of the wood is soft and rotten and waterlogged, and it just doesn't hold the nail very well, even though we've re-nailed them. You guys don't have to be bashful.
Well, I'm just raising my hand.
Yes, sir.
John Grunstrom. I'm probably at the landing as much as anybody in town. I'm there pretty much year-round. I very seldom ever use the dock. I back my boat down, get in it and go, come back, get out. Looking at the docks at high tide, walking on them, they look great. The top looks great. But I will tell you this. If you waited a couple weeks when they hauled those out and went down there and looked at them, they are rotten. Every year I look at them, I'm going, I can't believe that those things stay together. I mean, there's pieces of them laying on the ground after they take them out. The foam is falling down. The stuff is rotten. I went down about 3 weeks ago and something let go underneath, and there was a 4x4 sticking up through the bottom of one of the ramps you walk down, and there was a 6x10 piece of the actual dock you walk on up in the air about 4 feet. So walking on them today at high tide, they look great, but you go down there in 2 or 3 weeks and they take them out and look at them, there's no doubt the entire thing is gone, just completely gone.
I'm Jack Grunstrom. I'd like to say everything there is an accident waiting to happen. I think Bill has put the last Band-Aid he can on everything there. And the other thing, if anybody had been down there yesterday afternoon and see the crowd that was attracted to that, every spot in all the fields, even the little field that Stewie cut in up above there, was packed with automobiles. The place gets a tremendous, tremendous play, even in almost into October. It's something that, and I think avoiding a lawsuit would be fantastic. We've had a couple of things where people have been a little shaky about talking about things, but if something happens there after all this, and we all know about it, it could be a lawsuit.
Fred Hardy, Assistant Harbor Master. We work on those docks all the time. Matter of fact, tomorrow, if anybody wants to come down, I'm replacing a part on one of the docks tomorrow at noontime. And when we do pull these out, they do fall apart. The issue is, these docks now, someone's going to get hurt. Last year, well, every year, there's always something going on. This year I went down and there was a part of the dock that splintered up. What I mean is, the boards broke and it went like this. So you have these sharp splinters coming out. If the kids went down there and started running down that dock, caught their feet, it would be a mess, especially if they fell in the water. I immediately notified Bill, ran down to Yankee Pine, got the lumber, replaced the board instantly. I put something over it meantime. But we can't be down there all the time. This is an accident waiting to happen. In the thatch run out, especially in the spring, is so bad and so heavy that you can actually stand on the thatch. Gump and I were down there one time trying to push it away from the docks because it was tearing the docks off. And this is not uncommon. People don't see this. There's thousands of pounds of pressure on those docks. And Bill and the crew have done a great job trying to keep it together. But if they break loose and go down into Pearlies, I'd hate to think about that. And the other thing is, if someone is going to get hurt, it might even be us trying to save them. So it really needs to be done. That's all I have to say.
The only thing I'll add to that is not trying to be an extremist here. If I thought that somebody were going to get hurt walking down the dock, other than the Harbor Patrol, which is blocked off right now anyway, that's a problem. We know that. But on the town launch ramp docks, if I thought somebody was going to get hurt, we would have taken them out. They're not going to get hurt, but from time to time, things do happen, as you heard John and Fred say, that boards pop because something underneath broke, and they're weak, and this is going to happen. And some of these boards have broken, splintered, and it's an ugly mess, but we put them back together.
Bill, if we waited till the Springtown meeting, okay, how long would it take? Well, then we'd have to...
The problem is lead time.
Lead time.
I know where you're going.
I know.
Lead time.
Trying to have
Most
the new
of these guys are already taking orders through the winter, so
Mm-hmm.
we'd be lucky and I would work hard to find somebody that could put these together so we'd have an April 1st delivery. I'm sure there are some dock builders, professional builders out there that are already booked through the winter. So it's not a matter of it's only going to take a couple guys a week. You know, if I had two of my sons and myself to put these together the way they need to be put together, it would take at least a solid week of labor with two guys. The dock builders have a full crew working with them, and it's all supply and
And then,
demand.
again, you need lead time in order to do it. You'd have the appropriation for town meeting in the spring.
Exactly.
And then you'd have to fit into their time frame, and so you'd probably look at Memorial Day, maybe.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm wondering, I mean, it's obviously, I agree with all of you gentlemen that it's a public safety issue just from my walking down there today. And I was just about dead low tide when I was there around noontime. It was a steep walk. Obviously, the dock going down, or the ramp going down to the harbor master boat and the shellfish boat absolutely needs to either be closed off or replaced. One of the, I know you got a chain across it, and I went down, but I mean, the public doesn't really use that one as much. And I'm wondering, Mr. Chairman, if this, as we discuss this, and it's a public safety emergency in terms of the number of people down there, the children, I'm sure that you see it, I don't, the number of probably families that go out with small kids, and they're a little shaky to begin with, and if they're in bad shape, it's going to be worse. I'm wondering if we offered, we treat it's a matter of funding. Where are we going to come up with funding for this? And I'm wondering if we take $25,000 from the stabilization fund, seeing as it's really a public safety emergency in this particular case, if Bill could, and his crew, could replace, particularly the public docks and that one ramp going down with 25,000, see how far that goes, and then we'll have an idea in the spring, and maybe come out of, in the spring, we can come up with as part of our regular, long-range appropriations to come up with, because we gave you 15,000 this year, which should cover part of that, right?
The 15,000 is gonna cover the wharf, the work on the wharf.
When you say the wharf, you're referring to...
This right here, we had a
by
blowout
police.
that's already been repaired due to damage. That was covered under insurance, but there's a lot of rot in the wharf superstructure here.
Okay.
And that's what the 13,000 is for, and I've got bids coming in on that right now. So that's not part of this.
Okay, so if it's, and I'm assuming, Debbie, at a special, we can use stabilization money if we choose to, two-thirds vote or whatever, but...
Supermajority vote.
But I'm wondering if, Bill, just come up for a second.
Yep.
If we looked at, say, 20, and I'm throwing this out to the board, I don't know what the wish of the board might be, but, I mean, you've convinced me that, and I was skeptical about funding it, but I'm concerned. If we replace this is a section here that you have the picture of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that these floats here are basically used by town employees
Only.
only.
Mhm.
So if we look at, you're looking to replace all the ones in yellow?
Yes.
So if we look at replacing all of these,
Mhm.
and at least this one anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and if we give you 25,000, that should do most of that, right?
Dave, I think that's probably going to be a number that, with soliciting bids and being creative, I think we can probably get there and have what will last for another 30 years.
Because I'm really concerned about the public portion. I definitely would want the public portion done for this summer. So if we do that at this town meeting, that's going to make that safe.
Mhm.
Between the money you have for the dock area, and hopefully enough to at least get the employees down. And not that we want an unsafe situation for the employees, but I think replacing that one long upper ramp,
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is, and just looking at that, I can have to wonder, what the underneath look like on the rest of them. So, I mean, that thing is a disaster. But I mean, that's what I would throw out. I mean, I'm trying to use as little of the state. We've been long and hard for the last 15 years trying to build up the stabilization for emergencies and things like that. And in my mind, we can justify this as an emergency because, I mean, I know the number of boats. I have driven down there on a weekend in the summer, not this summer in particular, but it's a busy place. And,
It is.
And I'm just thinking that if we give you, and I'm saying 25, the board may have some different figure that we want to use, but to keep the minimum withdrawal from the stabilization fund and to justify that to the taxpayers and the finance committee also. We really don't want to take money out of there, but if we have to, for public safety purposes, you've certainly presented a good case here, and we didn't, we were hoping we could put it off for another year, but if we can't, we can't, and we certainly don't want anybody getting hurt or
Like I said, I've
having an issue
been
down
probably a little remiss in bringing it forward sooner. We keep putting it together with, Fred will tell you that I even make him straighten nails sometimes to save money.
He's not kidding.
No, we understand. We see the emails you send out every year, and the guys, all the guys and women or whatever that put this all together. It's the voting people that really help you out.
They really do.
Make the whole thing
and they
work.
keep the budget low, and I've always kept this budget low. And I don't do it obviously to make a living. I have another job that I make a living with, and I do this because I enjoy helping the town. And I've got some great people that work with me, like Fred Hardy and Jack and John. They both help out at times as well. So
Just a thought, I don't know if this will work or not, but there's tremendous amount of clever people that are in boats down there. There's carpenters, I'm wondering if it would work, Bill, to have like two work weekends and have all the material dropped there. Would that be anything that could possibly be done?
I've thought of that.
Get a big dumpster, cut one up, because every one of them are the same length.
Personally, I think, considering the public that uses them, we've got to make sure that these are certified safe. And it's wonderful that you guys do the work to repair them and take them in, pull them out, and do all those sorts of things. But I would feel more comfortable, I probably expect the board would, that let's purchase these things. They're certified, they're guaranteed for a year or whatever it takes. because it isn't something it's something that's being used by lots of people, lots of kids, and a lot of people who may not be much into walking on docks to begin with. You know, the big grandparents come down for the weekend or something to go out in the boat. So I'd rather see us do some. If we're going to do this, do it right. Let's not skimp it. And then you guys maintain them and pull them in, pull them out, and do whatever, you know, repairs to the whatever along the way. But I think that, you know, it's worth our while to, if we're going to do this, to do it right.
We have about $735,000, if I remember correct, in stabilization. Is that? So, I mean, I see no problem, this is an emergency, to use that money, but I'm adamant that we replace that money in the spring, and as we've been doing all along, add $200,000. We need to build that stabilization up to $1 million. I've been adamant about that, and I will, you know, I'll squawk about it in the spring if we don't do it again. And we need to build that up, and that's a rainy day fund, but it also, we need that for, you know, financial stability of our town. So, but if we take it out now, we replace that money and an additional $200,000. That's my.
We can see what we've got left in.
We'll see what we have next year, but
and replace
I'm
as much of it
adamant
as
about
we can. I mean, I have to agree. I was kind of hoping we could find a way, and this looks like it might be a way to do it. And I think if we can get it done by October 27th, we can then put the order out there, because these guys are gonna be, come spring, they're gonna be right out straight trying to build these things.
Absolutely.
Everybody's gonna want them. And if we can get a little head start on that and get them ready to go in when the boating season comes around on April 1st, then I think we'll be ahead. I really do.
Absolutely.
So,
It'll also give us an opportunity to save some money. I put in a high estimate because I'm very familiar with building docks and costs associated with docks and modern building technologies as far as marine systems. But the $35,000 should be high, and with the bids, we should be able to get this price down. And,
We need a couple
and
that we can't replace, then that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can do them later, but.
if we have to, we will. But we're pretty creative, so we'll make it happen.
Will you be able to put specs together? 'Cause
Yes.
we'll be going out to bid.
What I'll do is I'll be taking this and I'll go to a formal plan and dimension each one of the docks, as well as the construction materials. Construction materials will be the modern tech materials for the decking, non-skid. Tech materials will be plastic that won't be the pressure treated, it'll splinter. There'll be stainless fasteners, they'll be bolted, so that these docks will last a good 30 years. And the flotation will be such that they won't be dragged out anymore, which isn't a big deal. Between a backhoe or a lull, we can lift them up and stack them. It'll make them last a lot longer anyway. Dragging docks is kind of a thing of the past. It's how we have always done it, but that causes a lot of problems and a lot of wear too. So, no. Thank you very much for all of your support. I know you haven't voted, but have I answered?
Amend the Article 1 for the amount of money.
Well, I'm willing to make a motion that we transfer from the stabilization fund the amount of $25,000 to fund Article 1.
okay.
Second.
Motion made,
Is that
second. Any
proper
further
wording?
discussion?
Debbie, that suffice?
As long as we replace in the spring. That's all.
No, I mean, we're looking to, I mean, obviously, like I say, you know, when I was here 15 years ago, we had nothing in the stabilization fund, and the last 15 years, each board has diligently tried to raise it up, because that is what we fall back on. And it's for it's used for capital purchases, as well as, you know, a year when the economy falls apart and we have to make up money, so.
But it's also, Dave, this is an emergency.
Yeah, no, this is a public safety emergency. If this was something that we could put off, I'd say, fine, put it off, but, you know, there's too many people that use the docks, too many children, people that, like I say, when I walked on them today, I'm no lightweight, but, you know, I was rocking and rolling, it was low tide, so it's, you know, too much can happen down there too quickly when everything is running perfectly, not to have docks that are safe. And if something did happen down there, the lawsuits, the first thing would be is, well, what did you guys do about the docks if they're considered to be marginal in terms of safety? So,
And
I think it's a long-term investment that we need to make.
incident like this is few and far between.
Right.
You know, we don't do this all the time to the stabilization fund.
No, this
Again,
is,
this, we
I
have
noticed to other departments, this is a real public safety emergency.
Yes.
This is so that we don't want people coming in just,
No.
oh, wait a minute, there's a pool of money there we can grab, because this board, I'm sure, will be very reluctant to do that. But you presented a good case, and you've had your backup people here, and like I say, I've gone down there, and the other members of the board probably have or can go down and look, and it's bad. I mean,
And I'm happy to meet any of you down there and walk you through it. We've got we'll be unmarking the river on the 19th of October, and we'll be pulling the docks on the 7th or sooner, especially on the harbor patrol docks. I just need to keep me in long enough so we can get all the river equipment in off the river. So.
Larry, do you have any comment as, what are your feelings as far as this proposal?
No, I mean, it seems, a good idea to take it from the stabilization, and I think, if you can do it for the 25,000 or so, it's a safety issue, so, I mean, you don't have much of a choice. I don't see any lawsuit that would be for 25,000 or under, so.
No, I don't think there would be either, Larry.
I think
Somehow the
Money
six-figure thing kind of, and even sometimes the seven-figure thing kind of pops up, so.
It was about 5 years ago. We were actually threatened with a lawsuit from a local resident. I don't know if you remember, because of the gaps in the docks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
I went to a local shop over in Newburyport, Clean Line Equipment. My day job deals with engineering and equipment fabrication and the seafood industry. And I dealt with these guys, and I went over to see them, and they actually donated the stainless steel plates and made up the pins to cover those gaps, which are still there today. They'll last
They do a
forever.
good job.
Yeah, they really do a good job. But on the newer docks, what we'll do is I'll design them so the gaps are much closer. The stainless plates, we might use them on the other dock, but so
We're gonna fill in the gaps.
fill in the gaps.
I'd like to add one more thing about the people we're working with down there. John and I and Bill showed up working on a little project for the shellfish down there, and everybody that came in from their boats wanted to help us. Especially they wanted to get this old man out of the way and take my place. They're almost pushing me out. No, let me help. That's the type of people you're working with down there.
No, it's a good group, it really is. They all got something in common, and
Yeah.
they jump into it, so. Okay, we have yes, Deb.
Mr. Chairman, so I just want to read back what I've put together for a revision to that original language. To see if the town will vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $25,000 from the stabilization fund for the replacement of, and I'll keep it general, launch ramps, docks, and gangways at the town landing. So that
Does that sound good to you,
Sound
Bill?
good.
he's able
Yeah.
to prioritize the needs of whatever components of this structure
Right.
need to be
Need to be
repaired.
repaired.
Okay.
Just to remind the board, we need to replace that money in the spring, and also additional money into our stabilization. We need to build that up.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's not on the warrant article.
no, that's
I
not
mean,
on the
you
warrant,
can
but I just-
make that statement at town meeting, okay.
Did we vote or no?
No,
Yeah.
not yet.
No.
We actually had taken a motion and a second, and then there was comment after that, so. Given the motion and the second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One quick question.
Yeah.
On the capital plan, is there a capital plan that's published for the town that I could take a look at as far as my department?
We took all the requests, though, and we divided it up amongst the 5-year, because obviously we don't have enough money to do it all at once.
Okay.
And I think, I'm not sure how it ended up last year in terms of, I mean, I know how our chart looked. I don't know exactly how we got back to people at the end. Maybe we didn't, I don't know. But, yeah, I think it's important for all the departments that if you have a critical need, and yours didn't, you gave us, a number of items. And if I recall, from my memory that's getting hazier all the time, it was a matter of a laundry list of picking out, I mean, they're all needs,
Right.
but which ones were we gonna do and which ones could we afford? And we had obviously more requests than we can fund in any particular year. So we put a couple of your requests, probably these, we'll put into later years.
Okay.
So at this point, we're moving those forward. But I would emphasize that, in the future, if you have needs, or any department head really that has critical needs, that
Is
you
it
need
possible to take a look at the capital plan
Well-
for my department? Or?
We're sending out requests now, as we're
Okay.
working on the capital budget, and the team is working on this. So what we're gonna do is, because we've only done this for the first year, really, on that standardized form, we'll attach the plan so you can see, because if you have a change or an adjustment, or maybe this article will cure what was plotted for, year 3 of the plan, then you can make those adjustments.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
It's just
something
that
new for us,
it's
so
a spreadsheet, that's what it is.
we're getting
No,
into it.
I commend the board. I think it's a great thing.
No, it's a great thing, and we just need to, we'll hone it in a little bit more this year, and we get complaints and things like that, so we want to make it as an open process as possible, but it's important for those departments that are submitting a request to really, in their request, let us know, critical needs and stuff like that, because we're looking at it from the sake of, we want to spend, 150, borrow 150,000, how are we going to divide it up so that the needs get, as many needs as possible get taken care of, so.
Sure. No,
That's how we did it, and we'll move forward from there.
Okay. Very good. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
I will keep you posted. Obviously, we wait now until town meeting. Thank you, Jim.
And if you start putting those specs together and work with the town administrator, who she needs to put the bids out, that would be great. You'll need all the help you can get in the area.
No.
You're familiar with it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You, Fred.
Okay, our next appointment is at 7:30. We have kind of gone over a little bit, and I apologize to the cemetery commissioners for that.
I'll make it if you don't.
Yeah, go ahead, I've got the original, Dave.
Okay.
I'll leave it with the
Thanks,
file.
Bill.
So, the joint meeting with the cemetery commissioners to discuss warrant article.
I'll sit here and
Okay, I will call for a motion to open the joint meeting by roll call vote.
Make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor by roll call vote signify by saying aye.
I, Robert Snow.
Aye, Robert Mary.
Aye, Joe Perry.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
I'll make a motion that the cemetery department commission open a joint meeting with the board of selectmen.
Hi, Bill Gaynor.
Aye, Jack Cook.
Okay, you're all set. The cemetery board will discuss the article they have submitted for the October 27, 2014 special town meeting warrant. See attached. Also attached is a capital budget request the cemetery board submitted to the capital planning team last winter. After the end of the discussion, we can handle that one next. Okay, is the cemetery ready to make a presentation?
Yeah, I can, as you know, we got a tractor, and what we need to do is to house it in our building. We just get the tractor in now. You wouldn't believe to see the little, excuse me, the little cubby hole we got to get it in there, but now we're gonna have a addition of a small backhoe that we got. And we gotta put do some masonry work and put a 10-foot door in, 10 by 8. And the mason work, as you see in front of us, the mason work, we roughly got a quote from a local fella, roughly around $2,500. The overhead door is $2,300. $35. And then we need insulation up overhead and some carpenter work to frame in the door. We'll look, that's the total would be, on that we figured out would be around $3,165 for a grand total of $8,000. What we have got, we already got a quote for the electric heat. We got a nice price on that. That was out of the capital budget for, we budgeted, I think it was 65, Debbie, for
The total, I think, was 6,000, as I recall. And that was at the May special town meeting, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
think it was 6,000.
Okay. And the quote we got is way under that. What I'm gonna say is we really need to get this secure in there. The highway department was generous enough. The surveyor, Pat Snow, let us keep it down there, and when they got the new truck down there, they had no more room to keep the little Kubota down there. We could put it out back, but I mean the place to keep it where we can use it would be in our building. That's the place for it. You know, it's registered, it's ready to go over the road or whatever. You know, so I think we need this article. And we're not looking for any more big expenditures for the coming years, are we, Bill? I mean, this will suit us, and we work great with the highway department. They help us out, digging graves or whatever with their equipment. They come in, and it's the way it should be.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I would just, yeah, you know, running into the same situation, less money, but as we did with the request for the dock money. I mean, it was, at this point, to put this request in, we're asking to raise 8,000 more over and above what we've already allocated on other articles. And I guess my question is when, I think, Bill, you came before us, the capital committee twice, if I remember right. And both times, we were informed that the amount of money, but the tractor money, as well as the money that you needed for the wiring and the heat, and I believe there was there insulation included in that? I thought there was. There was talk about because of the heat, they were gonna insulate the building.
There was a heating system, and there's the electrical work that's pending right now. I can't say that I recall insulation.
I mean, we asked, the bottom line, we asked a number of times, is the building big enough to handle the tractor? And we were assured at both meetings, Bill, that you could fit the tractor in the building with no further construction needed. And then all of a sudden now you're saying that you need more, you need $8,000 worth of work to store the tractor in there. And once again, you know, I'm looking, is there any way we can put this off until Springtown meeting? Because once again, we're looking at a situation where we normally transfer money from different articles to cover unexpected expenses. And this is obviously a capital item. And my second thought on it is that if we're gonna be spending $8,000 for a door and masonry work and carpentry work, is it worth our while to take a little more in-depth look at that building? And maybe needs more than just that for, you know, use as we move forward. The tractor must take a lot of space up in there and so on and so forth. So I mean, you know, should this be part of a larger look and a more in-depth look, and then in the spring come up with, is the tractor in the building now?
Tractors, but we haven't got the backhoe part of the tractor yet. There's two separate pieces. The implement on the back is the backhoe. We've ordered that. It was approved by the town. We're now just waiting for them to let us know they're gonna come down and install
I
it.
don't think the backhoe was part of the, in other words, when we originally talked about this tractor,
Right.
it was gonna all fit in. So now you're saying that once you get the backhoe, it isn't gonna fit in there at all?
No, we're not saying that, we're not saying it's not gonna fit in there at all, but you're restricted to the height and the width. It's, what is it, the door we have now is 6 foot 4 inches. I think it is 6 foot 4 inches. The backhoe, the width is always gonna be the same, it's the back coming in. Well, we could make it work, but we're just thinking about a $27,000 piece of equipment. We don't want it sitting outside, we want it sitting inside.
No, I think we agree with you on that. It just, what I'm concerned about is that, when we did the planning for this, that we were told one thing. I don't even recall any discussion about the backhoe. It was
Well, that was part of the
the bucket loader is what we were looking at,
That was
basically.
part of the $30,000 package. We got the tractor itself for $21,000.
It's being housed now where?
The tractor's right over here. So
It's housed inside the building, but when we get the new attachment for it, it will not be able to.
It won't go in there.
It won't fit it at that
No.
particular time. Can we,
if we purchased we already purchased it. If
Right.
if we have to store it somewhere until we get it larger, I mean, there's no use. It's gonna be
is
no
the
use to
building,
us.
is the footprint of the building too small right now for what we?
No. See, we go in, here's the building, 6 foot something in the middle. We have to go in, the office is straight in. We have to drive it in, back it up, edge it, and go around. We got plenty of room to keep it in there. We got our Bobcat that fits on the side, the mower and that. There's plenty of room to just house that and keep the tools and whatever. We don't have to do no expanding on it. The other thing, this is what I would like to, I'm only one of the members on the board. We got that electrical money. We're gonna have roughly $4,000 left over out of that electrical account.
Well, actually, when the capital expense request was made, Jack, first of all, it was a tractor with a 6-foot bucket, and that was $26,000 to $28,000. Then at the bottom is expenses of $4,000 to cover heat, electric installation from ceiling. And the heat is a gas modine hanging heater in a tank under that $4,000 request.
Right, and we priced it out, and we searched around, and we found out the gas wasn't the way to go. It would have been more beneficial to the town if we went electric, which cut our price down to, what, $1,550?
So you're actually gonna go with electric heat?
Yeah.
This is gonna be it's gonna be one 6-foot baseboard heat, which is basically just going to do the office to keep our computer in an environment, it's as it should be.
Is there a place to put this up at, with Pat Snow up in his operation, the backhoe?
I know.
Do what?
Can the backhoe, the new backhoe, go up at, is there room?
I really don't want to talk for Pat, but I think he said that if something developed that we couldn't do it, we could store it out back.
I'm just thinking if we could hold this off till spring town meeting, that's all. And do this right.
Yeah. It's puts, right now, I mean, Bill, Saturday we had a burial over there, taking the boards out, gotta lift them up over the side of the wheel of the tractor. We keep the boards on the side, we're jammed in there. The tractor wasn't in there, it was good. And right now, Peter, we grabbed the highway department and dig the graves right now. When it comes winter time, I mean, this is only a small, what's the size of that? We won't even be able to break down through the grass. You know what I mean? We're gonna be going all winter long and digging and stuff. But it's a handy piece of equipment that we needed out there. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah,
been running on.
When we get into when the frost is 6 inches,
That thing won't
we
work.
have to have the diesel backhoe from the town, and that can go anything. That's why with the diesel we eliminated jackhammering. You know, they're so much more advanced nowadays than they were back then. You know, we've been there now 4 years, and I haven't seen a jackhammer yet.
No.
No.
Years back we did though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand that
Yeah.
when you dig, I mean, you get the frost goes down 3 feet, it's like
Right.
concrete
Right.
for 3 feet.
But with the diesel backhoe now, and they keep the teeth, you know, with excellent teeth on it, it just goes right through it, you know.
Now, at one point, we were talking, you were talking with the water board about getting a truck from them. Did that ever go through?
Yeah. That's another.
What is the status of that? Where are you parking that?
Right now, we got the old truck over there. Water department voted, a couple of months ago to give us the old truck that the body rusted out. We got money that we can do that out of the revolving account. That's not gonna be a big deal. We're figuring around $3,000 to $4,000. Take that truck, take the body off. Peter's supposed to be getting, the other commissioner, Peter Dalzell, to get a quote. And we're gonna put an electric hoist on it. And
Jack, will that be stored outside that truck?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we get,
But as it's-
that'll be all right.
As it stands right now, we're at the same where we've been ever. We haven't done anything with this truck. This truck is still there, and the water department's truck is still there at the water department. We haven't made the switch yet.
But we're not asking money for that. We got the revolving account. I wish we had a lot in that revolving account that we could do that. But what's the Board of Selectmen's, if we took that balance out of that electrical to hook up the heat? We thought it was gonna be a lot of money. You know, when we went to, you know, I wasn't I was away when you came in, Bill, and met on doing all them extras and all that stuff. But it's not a big deal. We get 66,000, right, Deb?
Well, on that electrical, I wanted to let you know, when I spoke to Michael Picanza and I went over our insurance requirements, he wasn't aware what we typically request for general liability, what the 1 million, 2 million, and the additional insured. And then I said the sole proprietor coverage is essential if you're a sole proprietor, because if not, then if you're injured, you'll be, the state will automatically put that on as a claim to the town. So he was gonna get back to me. You know, he's not sure if he may have to modify that quote on his electrical work to cover the cost of, and which we expect. That's when you deal with a government agency, the insurance requirements can be much more significant than a homeowner. So Mr. Picanzo said that he would get back to me on that. So I just want to be clear, I don't have a confirmation yet. He needed to talk to his insurance company. He had just switched to a new company. So there may be some modifications to cover the premium that would be needed to issue that type of
Even
insurance
if,
certificate.
yeah.
So it might not be what he originally said, the 1,500.
Yeah, but if he,
Might
even
be
if he went up to
higher.
2, Debbie, I mean,
A couple
you know what
$100.
I've been in, we want it done
Yeah.
right, you know?
Yeah, exactly,
Between the
so-
complying with the laws and
But he
everything's
was gonna
going
get back
on
to
and,
me. Yeah, we were playing
right.
phone tag, and that was
But-
as of the 23rd or 24th, that was
Okay.
of last week.
all right, so he did call you.
Yes, we were trying to communicate on the phone, and we finally caught up, and I did go over generally what we require, so he was gonna look into it and get back to me.
Okay, well, you got, say it's 2,000, we get 6,000 in there. and the electrical. We get that job done. We got a balance of 4. Can we use that to finish our job? I'm asking the board. We can get it done for that bill. I know we can get it
Depends how
done.
the article was worded as to.
Well, it's worded,
Afraid-
well, I don't know.
It just says, we left it so that the cemetery board had discretionary ability, upgrading the cemetery department building, which is, I think, to cover what there were so many things that they had to do to upgrade with the wiring and the heat. So there was an expectation, that they, the insulation, and the ceiling and things like that. So they do have, they have that ability under Article 9 of the May 5th special town meeting.
Well, Jack, here you have the overhead door and the mason work and the carpentry for $8,000, and now you have $4,000. You think you can do all that with $4,000?
No, we could use some of the 4,000 that we have left over towards the 8,000.
Towards the
What we're requesting.
How much money do you have
Well, we
in
have,
another account that you were gonna put towards the water department upgrade of that truck they were
I
gonna
don't know
use?
exactly what
It's
it's in.
about, that account, if I'm right, is around 17,000. Our money.
Right.
It's a 50/50 account, you know.
Well, how about then, Jack, and I'm giving you the same argument that I gave the harbor master, because I'm heavily involved in the capital planning projects. If you've got that money that you can use, along with the leftover money from the electrical, and then, going back and forth depending on, what the final bids come in and so on and so forth, could you do this project using that money, and then when you come in the spring, we'll take a look at your overall budget, which, and see what you have and how you're doing it, and this way here, we don't have to come up with any more money now. If you can take the 4,000, that'll take the, the onus off of, stripping your other money way down. And you can get that done and get the equipment protected, and then I think we need to definitely take a look at, the operation anyway, to see what you guys are gonna need, because the town's getting to the point where there's, we're burying a lot of people, and, we're getting, you guys have done and the boards over the years, have, once again, like the harbor master, have done a great job of doing an awful lot with very little, so we really need to take a look at where that whole department is going, but in the meantime, this would get you the project. We'll look at your financial issues. You can come back to us once it's all done. We see what the final numbers are, what it costs, and where you got the money from, and we'll work out on as the next budget season progresses. If we need to fill in some holes or whatever, we can do it at that time. It's just like they say, once again, we're at a time when we're only a quarter of the way through the year, or already grabbing money for some of these other things that we have in the warrant articles coming up. It's just a tough time to come up with a lot of extra
Yeah,
money.
you get the idea, Dave. The thing it is the revolving account has really, really helped us.
Right.
Because the wage account is nothing.
Right.
And you guys jacked it up, helped us. Expense account, 5,000 this year. I mean, look at what gas is.
Oh, yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
Everything's going up.
But what you just said, Dave, is we can get this job, but you know what we really need is that extra money out of that electrical account.
No, I mean, it sounds like you can do that.
It's worded, I think we can do it. It was,
Yeah, it's
'cause
up
if-
for upgrading the cemetery. When we spoke with
This
Mr.
guy
King,
comes in,
it's,
and even if he adds $500 to
Yeah,
cover
no.
insurance, Debbie talked to him, we want to make sure it's done. He's gonna do a good job, he come in, he's gonna put electrical up there, but the thing it is, we got no heat in
How
there.
much do you usually use, Jack, that discretionary fund that you've got in the course of the fiscal year? What would you anticipate that you're gonna have to spend out of there for other expenses?
Out of what, the
No,
revolving?
Out of that 17,000, as a revolving account? I mean, does that, you usually take a large chunk of that, or is that
No,
something?
what we've been doing is when we get down in the spring, mowing, maintenance, we usually put payroll in
Right.
to
a few thousand.
It's getting
So, I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
If
Yeah.
you take 4 or 5,000 out of that, it's not gonna kill you from doing maintenance.
No,
or
no, definitely
whatever you
not.
need to do in the spring,
No.
barring a major
Yeah.
emergency, so I mean.
Well, our hands are tied on wages. We can only take 10,000 a year.
Okay. But I mean, in
But
terms
other
of,
It's
in other
almost
words,
like,
you have, if you spend that money, you're still gonna have money that you need for other things.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's just like you people were talking, mentioned earlier, emergency fund.
Right.
You know, we like to keep an emergency fund, and we'd like to keep that.
Well, if that works for you guys, I think the board would appreciate you being able to do that.
Yeah, we
As long as
can,
that article is
Yeah.
worded in such a way that you could use that, but it sounds like it is.
and like you
We have a
say,
solution.
Dave, we're growing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And
no,
every
no.
time we put a burial in on during the week's 500, 250, the town make money out there, you know.
We'll give some of your money to the
Yeah.
harbor master.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's a 50/50, so, I mean, we
I'm
do,
only-
what are we up to, Bill? We got a big year going now, I think, on burials. And then we
Lot
get
of
the
people are
weekend.
dying, in other
Yeah,
words.
you know, I mean, we're growing out there.
I wouldn't quite put it that way, Jack.
We're not losing money, believe me, on, when we work.
Does that sound acceptable to you
Yeah,
guys
well,
and
we can
to
work
the
it
board
out,
here?
yeah.
We'll work that as a compromise, and then we'll definitely, when you guys come in the spring, be prepared to give us some
We're not
real
gonna
good
be in looking
information.
for money in this.
No, but I mean, in terms of looking down the road a piece,
For money
we
in the
have,
spring.
we have to
Tell you
start
right
looking
now.
down the road a piece for
Right.
where that department's going, so.
We got what we wanted, the
Okay.
backhoe, we get the truck going and whatever, you know,
Sounds good.
so.
Okay,
The thing I was worried about was this appropriation of the 6,000. Wasn't it 6, Larry, that was allotted to us?
The
I
capital-
thought it might have been more than that, but was it
I thought
6?
it's 6,000.
It's 6 on the money,
Yeah,
not
and
65.
It was originally 4, Mr. Gainer came with 4, but we looked at with the
Right.
general idea of the
Okay.
things you needed to do, and knowing it's a, you know, concrete block style building, and to do these installations
Right.
and things.
Well,
Could
we
be
might be able to
challenging.
negotiate to get it down a little bit, because the door, we gotta pay, and they're, the company, whatever, is the,
yeah,
they
the
got,
prevailing wage.
they got prevailing wage.
Yeah.
So
that
we're all
that
set there,
changes,
you know.
Yeah,
And they know, you know, they're a reliable door outfit, so we'll get quotes, and we have to get a couple more, but that 4,000 will take care of the extra, we're gonna figure probably 2,000, maybe not even that much, could be a couple of $100 more for the electric work being done. And then we'll have still a balance of 4,000, and we probably could,
Yeah, we could just take
We
it out
could-
like, I don't know.
no, we'll have the money left in the,
Right.
So if I make a motion to postpone this request
Yeah.
at this time, that's acceptable to everybody?
second that.
Any
Yeah, we'll
further
throw that
discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of Dave's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
and I'll make a motion that we, all under one, do you want me to, on the cemetery?
We can all go under one.
Okay,
You're
aye,
part of this.
okay, aye.
So, all opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that's the end of the
I'll
discussion.
make a motion that we,
Actually, after the end of the discussion, Chairman Mary calls for a motion to close the joint meeting with the Board of Cemetery Commissioners by roll call vote.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor with a roll call vote signify by
Robert
saying
Snow.
aye. Aye, Robert Mary.
Aye, Joe Perry.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
I'll make a motion that the cemetery department close the joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen.
Aye, Bill Gainer.
Aye, Jack Cook.
Okay, the meeting, the session is adjourned.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very good.
We're saving some more money.
Absolutely, good. Get the rest of the articles coming up now.
Bill, I'll see you.
Okay.
Cemetery.
Right, we'll walk there.
That lady come in yesterday and saw me.
Yep.
The smallpox cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta
Thanks, Deb.
clean that up.
I,
Talk to you tomorrow, Bill.
okay.
Yeah, we can always work.
Okay, that takes care of the appointments at this time. We move on to general business. Request from Pine Grove School PTA to hold annual Fall Fest on the Common. The 9th annual Pine Grove School PTA's Fall Fest on the Common. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, this is just an annual event. They've not changed any of the format, so this is a routine request.
okay.
I'll give you that motion.
Second it. Let me just read into the record. The date will be October 24th,
Right.
and the time is 2 PM to 8:30 to 9 PM. Event time 5 to 7. I'm not sure what all that means, but
They need to just set up prior to the event, so they're just asking to be able to
set up at
have
8:30.
permission to set up for the event, and then the event will run from 5:30 to
5 to
7.
7, okay.
Yep.
Oh, festival, food item for the Rowley Food Pantry. They're gonna evidently gonna collect food items. from the
That's
Rowley
what they
Food-
do every year, Mr. Chairman, yep.
Okay, I will accept the motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, we have Mr. Jack E. Grunstrom and Mr. John H. Grunstrom here, the Shellfish Commissioner and the Shellfish Constable. I had indicated that old business number 3, an item that I put on the revised and reposted agenda, would probably be taken up at 7:45, and obviously we're 45 minutes late. I was wondering if that could possibly be taken up, since these gentlemen have been here for a while.
And the game starts in
Oh,
25 minutes.
business number 3.
Jack, you read my mind. And actually Debbie did too, because I was gonna go to you next.
Well, no,
Okay.
pre-game. I think 9 o'clock at that.
And we'll
I'm out of here.
we'll hop down to old business number 3, and that is discuss green crab state contract forms. So we do have the email. And I think there is a copy of the contract in here also. Yes, there is. So do you have anything you want to say about that, Jack, the contract
Yeah,
itself?
can I bring up the date on what's going on here?
You sure can.
Okay, we've been negotiating for some time with the state on the state money that are given to each one of the 5 towns, Gloucester, Essex, Rowley, Newbury. And the final thing that had to be in by actually last Friday, so they have it in their desk today, was to sign up to participate in it. Constable, John H. Grunstrom, was going to administer the program, and we also sent at the same time for a license for him to fish green crabs. So they immediately said he could not administer the program because he was going to participate in it. So I said, well, we have 6 deputy constables, and apparently, I don't know if they talked to Debbie or they had it listed down there, so they automatically sent the contract to Bill Demento. And Bill Demento came to my house, in fact, it was last Monday night, and said, there's no way I can administer any program. I'm busy right up to here. So I said, well, the only other deputy constable I know of that has time right now is Dan Purley. He's on kind of medical leave right now. And so I called Dan and said, would you be interested? And he said, be more than happy to do it. It'd be something for me to do and keep me out of trouble. So they sent a new contract to Dan Purley all by email. And so on Friday, Dan signed it and it had to be in there by today. So he signed it and sent it back. So then Debbie said, well, we can't do that because it has to be approved by the Selectmen. So that's where we're at right now. We're looking for direction. We're not looking for money, we're looking for direction.
Oh, that's a good thing. Much easier. Okay, has everybody had a chance actually to review the contents of the contract? We are going to get approximately $15,600 if everybody joins the program. If some of them back out, then we may even get a little more. So that would be a good thing too.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, you and I did go down to Gloucester for the meeting, and we got a lot of information about the program and about the 5 communities participating. And I think this will benefit all of the communities, and we'll be able to minimize our green crab.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
One good piece of news we have, John tells me that he's not seeing near as many crab this year as he has in the past. And of course, we had quite a cold winter. And looking through history, it's always happened. If you had a real good cold winter, you had a real low crab density, and you had a lot of clams coming up. So we're looking forward to that. But it's a great time, if they're down, get them while they're down and out, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
No.
I will entertain a motion to.
I'd like to move that we sign the contract to participate in the green crab.
Second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it's made out to Daniel Purley, so I think that you need to take a vote to authorize Daniel
Oh,
Purley.
right.
To sign the
to,
contract.
I'll move that we authorize
bind the
Dan.
town in that contract, and then that he would be responsible for administering the grant proceeds and
And I'll
in
second.
accordance with this.
Okay, motion
Right. Two.
is what Debbie said.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
I'll
motion. Bob
I'll
seconded.
make that one.
Okay, as long as we got the right motion.
Right.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
You
gentlemen.
guys have to sit here now till we
Thanks for your
leave, so we
help.
wanna see the game.
Can we hit her up with some money now?
By the way.
Bring in the crabs.
Can we use that crab money for the docks?
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
Good night, lady.
Good night.
Good night.
Antique
Selectmen
roadshow.
meetings seem to go much quicker.
That's
You too.
You notice that?
Yes. Okay,
Especially the Patriots. KC.
that's new business. This is old business. Okay, that one's done. Let's go back to general business
Did you do the fall festival, was it?
number 2.
What did you do when I was gone, was that the
Yes.
fall festival?
Right, for the Pine Grove.
Okay, general business number 2, request from Agricultural Commission to extend farmers market on the town common. The Agricultural Commission is requesting permission to extend the Sunday farmers market 2 more weeks, adding October 12th and October 19th. Our vendors are requesting this extension as they are confident they will have produce in which to sell. Thank you for your ongoing support. Diane Schott, Secretary.
I'll give the motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
Aye.
carried. General business item number 3, letter from the Independent Living Center. Annual meeting on October 22nd, 2014.
So, Mr. Chairman, the letter, I know you've probably already seen it in your folders, it's quite lengthy. Essentially, I know in the past, the one, a selectman may, maybe delegated from the board to attend the annual meeting of the Independent Living Center of the North Shore and Cape Ann. If anybody would like to go to that.
Is there anybody that wants to volunteer?
What day of the week is that, Deb?
It's a Wednesday, October 22nd, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. in Salem on Congress Street at the headquarters of the Independent Living Center.
I'm available.
You're available?
Some,
I nominate you to be our representative to,
We could check and make sure there's no Triton meetings, or, that would be the only Wednesday evenings.
Right. They're meeting on the 15th, I believe.
Okay, so that might be their off week.
I'll second that date.
you don't get volunteers
Perry
too often,
goes.
so you
Yeah.
volunteered, you got it.
so Mr. Perry will attend?
We'll send his name anyway.
Yeah, and
If he
if
doesn't
something
show up.
changes, maybe there's another board member who can make it.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Old business now, number 1, review town meeting articles. Okay. I gotta read this whole thing, Deb?
No, so Mr. Chairman, if we could just resort, it's a draft, I actually haven't finished writing it, there's 3 more articles that actually, are not on it, but you've already seen from the water department.
Okay.
So, if we could kind of go through it, I'm still working on it. And I know that the board is concerned about the amount of money that we're looking to raise and appropriate. And I've tallied up, it would be $31,858 from these spending articles. And there's been some changes this evening, so that would be the amount with the changes you've made this evening, which is a number that the town accountant feels we can absorb in fiscal 15.
So Article 5 then for the elevator, or the hydraulic elevator would be, that sounds fine. Do we need to vote to put that on?
Yes, that was one, I've been waiting for several weeks to get a confirmation on the cost to upgrade the town hall hydraulic chair lift is really what it's called. We call it an elevator to comply with the regulations, so it's $1,965.
Need a motion for that too?
I do, so
I'll
vote
give you the
to
motion to
place that on the
place
warrant.
that on the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to place Article 5 on the warrant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, so we need 3,000 to hold the town meeting. That was 4. 5 addresses the hydraulic lift. 6 is for an appropriation for the library sprinkler heads that need to be replaced at the library in accordance with the fire code.
Need a motion or you all?
No, that's also, these are have all been submitted.
Okay.
Just if
Yeah,
you have
they're
any
just
questions.
testing the sprinkler heads.
I just want to make sure everything's okay with you before I send it over to the Finance Committee meeting for tomorrow. Article 7 is, addresses a back payment for outstanding vacation pay that an employee was due when they transitioned to a different employment status with the town, to an elected position. That's $777. The next one is a budgetary correction of $129, a transfer to the health administrative assistant wage line from the sanitary wage line. Article 9 addresses what we received as a revised assessment on the Essex North Shore Agricultural Technical School assessment, which has changed from a cherry sheet assessment now to an appropriation in the budget. Article 10, we are forecasting a deficit in the veterans benefit line, and we've had some new cases that have come into the town, so we're asking for an additional $10,000. Article 11 will transfer $8,285 back to the reserve fund for that recent transfer by the FinCom to the Selectmen's expense line, the town hall expense line, to replace the air conditioning unit in this office. Article 12 is a detailed article, but it covers the requirements of the agreement with the Massachusetts COPS Local 150 collective bargaining agreement. So we have an adjustment reimbursement for fiscal 14, and then also to fund the current fiscal year 15. So that's put together through a combination of transfers. The Article 13 will appropriate the refund of the purchase of the new ladder truck. So as you recall, the chief said if we had the prompt payment plan with the purchase of the new ladder truck, we would get a reimbursement of $17,671.99 back. So we would like to apply that directly to the principal payment on that loan. That was a debt exclusion override. So we've made adjustments now down to, we have town council working on just to review the redesignation of the parcel of land known as Lot 6 on Assessors Map 13, which is general municipal property, to be classified now as parkland under Article 97, which will protect it for perpetuity, so that we can always stay parkland for active recreation, so whether it's baseball, soccer, other things like that. That would be permissible. Then we have the repurposing of the balance of Article 9 of the April 30th, 2012 special town meeting, which was for the development of a Little League field at the Brad Street property, to be used by the Board of Selectmen to construct a Little League field at Veterans Field, and then construction of soccer facility at Eris Park, and potentially any other active recreational facilities such as tennis courts, basketball courts, skateboard park, walking trails. And Mr. Peterson met with the Community Preservation Committee last week and received the support for that. And then we have the an appropriation from the Community Preservation unreserved account of $15,000 to cover the endowment that we need to have the Essex Greenbelt Association hold the conservation restriction for the open space portion of the Girl Scout land, which is required if a municipality uses CPA funds to purchase. The state then requires, even though it is Article 97 conservation land, you still have to have a CR on it. So that will address that requirement. And then we have an article that will transfer monies that have been sitting in an article going back to 2003 for restoration of the Jewel Mill back into the Historic Resources Reserve, because the applicant had proceeded in a different direction using private funds and no longer needed this grant. And then we have 3 of the Water Department articles, which I hadn't had time to put on this very rough draft. That are on there, that you've seen before and actually have been somewhat reduced on the staffing. It originally was 50,000, they've got that down to now about 25,000. So I'll have a revised copy, an updated one tomorrow.
Looks good.
Okay. Old business number 2, signed deed for Salt Marsh parcel. The deed for the Salt Marsh land is here, ready to be signed. Judith Pickett has approved the deed. The deed will be notarized by Principal Assessor Sean McFadden. I think Sean's probably gone home by now.
So, Mr. Chairman, Sean is gone.
So it requires all of these, the selectmen
I think if
signatures. So
if the board could take an authorization to sign it and then sign it in his presence at some point this week,
yes, yeah,
that would be appropriate.
okay. Can everybody do that at some point in time this week?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to authorize the selectmen to sign the Salt Marsh land deed in the presence of the notary Sean McFadden. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, he's here.
I was asked, I'm waiting.
Oh,
Thank
wow,
you.
we didn't want you to stay that long,
No,
Sean.
it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Folks, sign it.
That's it.
And she better do it? Doesn't bother me. I know.
Thank you, Sean.
No problem. I thought I heard something much. I'm thinking, I should step in there.
We figured you were long gone.
No, I would never leave it.
A little bit on time, it's all Bill Demento's fault, so blame him. We've got a lot of on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, that takes us to new business, number 1. And that is to discuss Water Department employment policies. Debbie met with Water Superintendent Mary Beth Wisner last week concerning recent unemployment claims filed by former employees who worked in the water department. Debbie and Superintendent Weiser are working on procedures going forward that will reduce further future claims arising from temporary or seasonal employees. So, that's basically where we stand. I guess there's been several unemployment claims filed based on seasonal employment that had actually been overrun the actual allotted time. So,
So we'll
is it
work on
13?
some-
Is it 13 weeks or
So if you work in excess of the 12-week,
12 weeks? Okay.
so we're gonna look at these, have nothing to do with, they predate when she started working here.
Right.
And so they go back a while.
Okay.
So we're working on that, and just so that we can have sort of a, almost something, a calendar approach, and everything will be signed off on any future temporary or seasonal situations, that
Right.
it will be clear that under no circumstances would it exceed that period.
Okay, because it does get kind of expensive after a while.
There you go.
Sean, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It does, and for the department, with the number of employees that they have compared to the rest of the workforce, when we look at, we've set aside 10,000 just in the water budget for unemployment, whereas we have, I think, 13,000 in the general budget, which is,
Yeah.
more than $14 million. We just need to be careful about that, and just, so we understand what that money's going for.
I think with the new water superintendent, right on top of these kinds of issues, and I think it won't be a problem. Because he's also looking at hiring, they get more employees, and if we pass the town meeting articles, there'll be another employee. So there are gonna be a lot of employment issues up there, and she's really, seems to be on top of all these things, so. It's a real plus at this point to have someone actually in charge and watching the budget and watching the numbers. And it's the first time in a long time that we say we've got that.
Very good. Okay, so we do have some announcements to make. What did I do? Hide my warrant in there. Thank you, sir. I know it's in here somewhere. Announcements. The fall special town meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 27, 2014 at 7:30 at the Pine Grove School. And we will be voting on the articles that we discussed tonight. West Nile virus, WNV, has been detected in mosquitoes collected in Rowley. Residents seeking information on the West Nile virus should read the information on the town's website or contact the health department at 948-2231. The town has the following vacancies: fence viewer, 2 positions; wood, lumber, and bark inspector, and zoning board of appeals associate, 2 open seats. Historic Commission, Historic District Commission, 3 seats. Parks and Recreation Committee, 2 seats. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. Rowley Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Compact fluorescent light bulbs may be recycled at the Rowley Municipal Light Plant. Light bulbs can be brought down during normal business hours. Place them in a plastic sandwich bag if you can, and drop them off there, and they will dispose of them. Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Second. Joe.
Don't fight over it, guys. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.